Hello. I can't hear you, Sudhi. Hello. Hello, Prachi.
You online?
I'm online, but I can't hear you.
Okay, so I just start. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Okay.
So good morning, welcome to our first day of Vedanta, Introduction to Vedanta, the Vedic view of the way of life. And this would be taught to us, guided to us by Dimples. She's been beautifully in this journey for a very long time. And let me introduce you to her, and the stage is now to her. I will be reading, and Dimples will be explaining. So Dimples, over.
Hello. Can you hear me, Prachi? I don't know why I'm not getting you on a gallery view for some reason.
Okay, that doesn't matter. I can very much see you, and the book is in front of us.
All right. So I don't know what you want me to say. Why don't we just jump straight into it?
Fair enough. Whatever you
You
come.
can read a little bit, and then if after say a little bit, if anybody has questions, then we can have a discussion, right?
Perfect. So let's have the question answer at the end of it, and meanwhile we
Right.
can start reading.
Yeah.
So the book of Vedanta is an introduction, a mere introduction to the Vedic view and the way of life, and it's authored by His Highness Swami
His Holiness. His Holiness.
His Holiness Swami Paramanandji. And let's take a journey forward. So it was presented to me by Dimples herself, and I'm so happy to be taking this journey forward with her, under her guidance. So we have these particular sections to this. So of course, we'd be taught about this by Dimples.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to jump in here.
Yes.
So the first chapter is what is called the Purushartha,
Okay.
which are goals of life. We all think that, they're normally divided in Shastra into four, Dharma, Artha, Karma, Moksha. But as we go further, we will realize ultimately there is only one Purushartha, which is to get free from the sense of lack, free from the sense of being limited. So that's how Swamiji has started this. And he just talks about the uniqueness of human birth. So sorry, I just interrupted here. Please carry on, Prachi.
No, that's perfect. So you want to take us through all of the 14 chapters?
No, I just thought I'll do this little bit as an introduction. Let us do the first, which is the uniqueness of human birth and the limitation, the goals all come into this, you see. Okay.
Perfect.
The four types of human goals, which is on the second page, and the limitations of the first three goals. We could do one chapter today, maybe, if we have the time.
Perfect.
Please, you read.
So let's read the preface by Swami Paramananda Ji himself. He says, when I teach courses on Vedantic texts like the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads, I begin with a few introductory talks. In the first few talks, I give an overview of the Vedic view and way of life. This will be followed by the summary of a small Vedantic text called Tattva Bodha. Tattva Bodha is a Sanskrit text in prose form which presents the essential teachings of Vedanta in a comprehensive manner. While presenting the teachings, the definitions of the technical terms used in Vedanta are also introduced in a systematic manner. Hence, that this text serves as an ideal guide for a beginner. My introductory talks were recorded and transcribed by some of my students, an edited version of which is presented for the benefit of beginners. Yes, over to you, Dimple.
Why don't we just read? If you get tired, we can take turns and read. We can start with chapter 1, Introduction to Vedanta, which is the Purushartha. If you want, I can read this bit, and then you can read the second bit, which is the four types of human goals.
Absolutely. Let's do this. Thank you so much.
So there is a Sanskrit verse which talks about the uniqueness of a human being when compared to all other living beings. Now, I'm not going to read out the verse, it's there, but anyway. There are several features common to human beings and other living beings. They are ahara, nidra, bhayam, and maithunam. Ahara means eating. Animals eat for their survival. Some even store their food for a rainy day. A human being also works for his or her food and preserves it. Next comes nidra, sleep. After working for its livelihood, every being takes rest in its own way. Animals sleep, human beings also sleep. The third feature is bhayam, fear. Fear from other animals, fear from natural forces, etc. Like food and rest, fear is also common to both animals and human beings. Both have their own methods of protecting themselves. A human being tries and provides for the protection of his, her family and property as well. All the security forces, police, guards, dogs, etc. are maintained with the intention of protecting the life and property of human beings because there is an inherent sense of insecurity. The next common feature is maithunam, love for the perpetuation of one's own species. Santate.
Sorry, I couldn't understand. Maithunam means love for the
perpetuation of one's own species.
Okay.
To have children, perpetuate your own species.
Yes.
Not only do I want to live, but I also want to propagate the species by getting children, grandchildren, etc. I want to survive through them. So I name the grandchildren after me. If I do not physically survive, at least I want to continue through the grandchild. Animals also instinctively and naturally propagate. Plants also do this. In this respect, there is no difference between humans and other living beings. Now, the question is, if animals and human beings are the same in all these respects, then what is the unique characteristic of a human being? In what way can we claim superiority, say that a human being is the roof and crown of creation? Human being is superior for different reasons. To start with, there is the faculty of speech, which is unique to human beings. No animal can orally communicate except by making sounds. A human being, on the other hand, can develop thousands of languages. He can have sophisticated methods of verbal communication, all because of the superior faculty of speech. There is another unique feature of a human being. This is the superior intellect, the faculty of thinking, studying, analyzing, etc. As the Sanskrit verse says, buddhirihi tesham adhiko visheshaha. For a human being, intellect, buddhi, is an extraordinary feature. This does not mean that animals do not have intellect. Animals also have intellect, and many animals like the gorilla and the dolphin are considered to be very intelligent. But the intelligence in a human being is so far superior to that of any other animal. This is the reason animals do not read newspapers or are great books of literature. If the intellect is removed from a human being, he or she will be as good as an animal only. A human being without intellect is as good or sometimes even worse than an animal. So intellect is a unique faculty of a human being. A human being is capable of seeing his life very clearly because of this unique thinking faculty. Animals may have some instinctive ability in storing food, but they cannot think of their life ahead. They don't ask questions like, what will I do in my old age? Will I get pension? Should I have LIC coverage and so on? They do not bother about their children also. They do not think about saving money for the future. So such far-sighted thinking, fixing specific goals and working for their fulfillment remains the most unique feature of human birth. In Sanskrit, these three goals, human goals, are called Purushartha. Artha means a goal. Arthyet iti artha, that which is sought after, that which is desired is called Artha. And therefore the word Purushartha means the end or goal which is desired or sought after by human beings, Purusha. And how many such goals are possible? As many human beings are there, so many different goals are also possible. Each human being has got his own Purushartha. One person wants his name to appear in the Guinness Book of World Records by eating chilies. This is his goal. Another wants to jump from the mountain without a parachute. He wants to open his parachute at the height of 100 feet only. He does that successfully and creates a record of that. Is he satisfied? No, he wants to break his own record and goes jumping till he dies when the parachute fails to open. Thus, chili eating is a goal, free fall is a goal, and yet another eats iron pieces. And there are some others who want to climb Mount Everest, some who want to become a scientist or a politician, and so on. In fact, there are so many goals as there are human beings. And if you take one human being, he himself has many goals. And these goals keep on changing too. As a child, I had certain goals. When I became a young man, my goals changed. When I became a grandfather, the goals may be different. Therefore, even for one human being, but there are many goals. But our scriptures say that though the goals are innumerable, they can be all categorized into 4 types as Chaturvidha Purushartha. Prachi, you want to take over?
Chaturvidha Purushartham. That means 4 types of goals.
Goals. Now the goals are mentioned, categorized roughly as 4. So would you like to read? Artha?
Yes, please. Ahara means eating.
Artha. No, we've done that. We're coming to 4 types of human goals. Artha, Kama, which is the next page. 4 types of human goals, right? You got it there, Artha, on the right.
Yes. So, yes, 4 types of human goals, Artha, which means wealth. The first type is called Artha, referring to all forms of wealth, moving or non-moving, which are meant for one's own security so that the person can safeguard himself from diseases, suffering, and even death. So Artha can be translated as all types of security to free myself from troubles like hunger, thirst, etc. This is security to free myself from insecurity. In fact, every human being fundamentally wants to make sure that his life is not threatened and he can survive. This is why they call this goal the basic need: food, clothing, and shelter. Food is for protection of life because without eating, I can't survive. Clothing is again for protection from the weather, dust, or any external danger. Shelter, once again, is for protection. So every human being will first ask for freedom from pains and threats called dukha nivritti in Sanskrit. Dukham means all kinds of pains and nivritti means freedom. This is the first goal. The only difference is that an animal pursues that by pure instinct, but a human being does it thoughtfully. If you analyze food, clothing, shelter, pursuit itself, you will see that animals eat the same food or similar type of food all the time, whereas a human being relishes many types of dishes. He eats with spoon, fork, etc. And how many different types of vessels, tables, and cups? So even though an animal also seeks food like a human being, there is sophistication about it in the case of the latter. Similarly, shelter. Animals build their shelter basically in the same form: anthill, honeycomb, bird's nest, etc. A human being, on the other hand, builds newer and newer types of houses. This also comes under Artha. A similar refinement and sophistication can be seen in clothing also. Also, these come under the first Purushartha, namely Artha. Now, once I have security through food, clothing, and shelter, I no longer feel threatened. I have a simple, basic human life. So dukkha nivritti is now over. There is no more pain or threat or fear coming from outside. Dimples, will you want to explain whatever we've read so far in the 2, 3, 4 pages?
Yeah, basically, the first bit was about the uniqueness of human birth. What they're saying is there are a lot of features which are common between human beings, animals, and other species. But the uniqueness of a human being is that we have an intellect, the capability to rationalize, to analyze. And that is the uniqueness which puts us right on top of the list of all the species. They call it the crown of creation because of our human ability to not only communicate properly through languages and also to be able to think and rationalize. And the other thing I have said, which is probably not coming here, it'll probably come later, is that actually it is very unique to get a human birth. It is not guaranteed life after life. It all depends on whatever karma has to manifest in the next life. So three, as Adi Shankara says, the three very most difficult things to get in life is first for a jiva is human birth, and then that is a desire for moksha, and then to find a guru or the Mahapurusha, company, satsanga as they call it. So that is what is the culmination of human birth, that when you are able to get the spiritual punyam manifesting, that you are interested in the purpose of life. So that was the first bit about the uniqueness of human births. Now we're talking of the 4 types of goals. They call them 4 goals, but ultimately you'll find out as we go a little further that only one goal is what is actually driving us in different forms. So the first goal has been explained as artha, which is wanting a sense of security, be it with food, shelter, clothing, whatever it may be. Once you have that, the next thing you look for is entertainment, which is listed under kama. Then we'll go to punyam, and then the 4th one, it'll explain how these 3 culminate into the 4th. So I can read kama if you want, then you can do punyam.
No, I'm happy to read. That's okay.
Yeah,
you
okay,
can translate and I can read, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So, number 2 is kama, entertainment. My next interest is how to enjoy life, that is sukha prapti. I listen to music or see TV. When I do not like TV programs, I go to a movie. Thus, recreation or pleasure hunting is the next pursuit of a human being. But any entertainment or enjoyment comes only after artha. In other words, I look for pleasure only after my security is taken care of. Therefore, the second Purushartha is called Kama, that is, source of pleasure, entertainment, or creation. Do you want to elaborate a bit more on this? Or
no, that's quite self-evident, We have to get to the 3rd and 4th, actually. Yeah.
Okay. 3rd is Punyam, the invisible favorable factor. The 3rd Purushartha is called Dharma or Punyam. This is because there is a belief in rebirth in Indian culture. There is an acceptance of past birth, and there is a belief in future birth, even though one does not know the details. And a believer in future birth is interested in the well-being of the next birth also. I am providing for my post-retirement life because I believe that I will survive until then. I also have an unconscious fear that my children may not take care of me. As this fear is on the increase nowadays, senior citizens' homes are also on the increase. Therefore, even though I spend money on my children, I want to keep some for my old age too. In the same way, if I believe in a birth after this, I am interested in the well-being of that life also. And for the well-being of that life, whatever I have to acquire, I work for it. We are not considering the non-believer here. He may not bother about the next birth. We are talking about the believer. He has a 3rd Purushartha, Dharma or Punyam, that is meant for the well-being of the next Janma. Punyam is the invisible, Adrishta, result gaining from noble activities prescribed in the scriptures. Artha Griha Nivardhane, Samasane Mitra Bandhava, Sukartam Dukhartam, Sukritam Dushkritam, Keva Gachantam Anugachati. Can you translate this shlok for us?
It's translated in the next paragraph. I can see that.
Yes. What happens at the time of death? Our scriptures say Artha Griha Nivardhane.
Nivartante. Yeah,
Nivartante. So the scriptures say Artha Griha Nivartante. That is all the wealth I have acquired is left behind at home. Samasane Mitra Bandhava. Friends and relatives are left behind at the cremation ground. Then the question is, who follows the jiva, the individual, after death? Neither money nor relatives. Then what follows? Sukratam, Sukritam,
Dushkritam.
Eva Gachantam Anugachati. Only the punyam and papam, which one acquires during one's life, follow one to determine the next janma. And those who believe in these punyam and papam naturally want to accumulate sukritam or punyam. Therefore, punyam becomes the third purushartha. If you analyze, almost all the people in the world are working for these three goals only. After pursuing these three for some time, an intelligent and sensible human being who has learned from experience will find out these three human goals have certain innate limitations or doshas.
Shall I just
yes, please.
Next one. So there are limitations of the first three goals. The first is pain. What are the limitations in the pursuit of security, pleasure, and punyam? All these pursuits, in spite of being wonderful, have certain limitations, just as a beautiful rose has a thorn. They have both positive and negative consequences. What are these negative aspects? We are well aware of the positive aspects. If we are given money, married life, children, house, relations, traveling, we welcome these as they are enjoyments. Since everybody is after these enjoyments, everyone is aware of the positive aspects very well. Therefore, we need to discuss only the negative aspects here. The first negative aspect is that all these pleasures are mixed with an equal amount of pain or sorrow. How? Firstly, acquiring them involves a lot of pain, a lot of effort, and a lot of competition. Suppose everyone wants to go to Kodaikanal, what will happen? It will become crowded. There'll be a water problem, exorbitant rents, and exorbitant rates for everything. Hence, everyone enjoys all right, but when one counts the amount spent on this enjoyment, he or she feels disturbed. There was a person who built a very big marble house. After seeing it, I said it was a wonderful house. And he said, Swamiji, you can say it's a wonderful house, but you know how much it cost. So even though it was wonderful, his mind keeps on thinking about the expenses involved all the time. In other words, acquisition involves loss. There is no gain without the corresponding loss. The higher the gain, the higher the loss. Loss in terms of money, energy, and so on. Therefore, acquisition involves pain. With acquisition, is it over? No. Preservation involves an equal amount of pain. There will be some repair invariably. While repairing, the mechanic makes sure that everything else will come under repair before long. Maintenance involves pain. In spite of maintenance, there's always going to be a loss because none of these things are permanent. Therefore, artha is lost, karma is lost, dharma and punyam is also exhausted. If the acquisition is painful, maintenance is more painful, and the loss is going to be the most painful. So the first limitation is that the pleasure we derive is always mixed with pain. In fact, the term in Shastra is dukkha mishritam, mishritatvam. And the second is dissatisfaction.
I feel, Dimple, if you can just give a little bit idea about a synopsis of what we've read.
Yeah, so they always say, be aware of three things, that anything that you have it's got the capacity to give you pain, it's got a capacity to give you dissatisfaction, and the capacity to make you dependent. So this is the triple knot, as they call it, of any form of acquisition. So here, what they mean by pain is there's a lot of effort involved, and there could be compromises to be done, be it in terms of money or whatever. So getting anything is not always that simple. That's all they're trying to say, that be aware. Not only, and nothing lasts, you see, everything will end at some point. Anything within time will go within time. So, what should I say? So, there is no permanence. Ultimately, that is what they're coming to, that if you want to find permanent satisfaction, these are only temporary distractions. That is what the 3 points are. And the second one it comes to is dissatisfaction. Have you noticed when you get something, so if I get that, I'll be happy. But then you want the next thing. The mind is a monkey. It'll never be satisfied with the one thing. It wants the next and the next and the next. So that is a dissatisfaction factor they're talking about. It is called atripti kartritvam. The second limitation is atripti karatvam. Any amount we acquire, we'll never be satisfied. With a bank balance of 1 lakh, I feel insecure. With 10 lakhs, also insecure. Insecurity continues. In fact, the higher you go, the greater the insecurity. Just think of the expenses involved in the care of the Prime Minister or any Chief Minister. They have all the things to make their life comfortable and pleasurable, but they require even more security. Thus, dissatisfaction or discontentment is the second defect. The story of Yayati comes up in the Mahabharata. After growing old, Yayati wanted to enjoy the pleasures of youth. He was given a peculiar boon by which he could exchange his old age with anybody's youth. He did so several times. At the end of all this, he said, even though I have gone through all of them, there is no satisfaction. So he threw away everything and went into the forest for doing penance. Thus, in spite of repeated enjoyment, there was dissatisfaction. As a child, I thought I'd be satisfied when I became a young man. As a young man, I thought everything would be fine once I got married. Once married, I felt that life with children would be wonderful. Afterwards, we want children to get settled in life. Thus, it goes on and on. The satisfaction I'm waiting for never really comes. So that is what dissatisfaction is. Everything has us. And the third is dependence. The third dosha, they call doshas, is bandhakatvam. That is when one becomes addicted to things or dependent on them. For security, I depend on external factors. For enjoyment or entertaining, I depend on external factors. For enjoyment in the next janma, I also depend upon punyam. Thus, I'm always dependent on external factors. As artha, kama, and punyam are external factors, I will become addicted to them by depending on them. They are like some of the drugs or steroids which make me dependent on them once I get addicted to them. Now, when I become more and more dependent, am I becoming free or am I becoming bound? I am becoming more and more bound as I'm pursuing these. Without them, I cannot be comfortable, happy, secure, or full. This limitation is called bandhakatvam, having the nature of causing dependence. Some people, short-sighted as they are, ignore these doshas and pursue them. However, there are a few intelligent people who realize that though these appear wonderful, they have these three limitations. And these people look for the fourth purushartha called moksha. And then moksha means freedom, inner freedom. Freedom from what? Freedom from all types of dependence on external factors. In other words, I should not depend on any external factor for security. I should also discover security in myself and not in the people around or in the money I possess. I should discover happiness in myself. Atmaneva atmana tushtaha. I should not depend even upon punyam for future security or pleasure. Discovering happiness in myself, discovering security in myself is called moksha. What will happen because of this self-discovery? I will no longer depend on external factors. If I do not depend on them, I need not bother about acquiring them. If they come to me, let them come. If they do not, I don't need them. I do not depend on anything, any person, or any situation. Their arrival is fine. Their departure is also fine. This inner freedom is called moksha, and this is the highest purushartha, the parama purushartha. This is called parama purushartha because there is no further pursuit once this is fulfilled. The pursuit of dharma, artha, kama is a permanent struggle. In moksha, all the struggles end because I discover security and joy in myself. The four purusharthas can thus be reduced to two basic goals: prayas, consisting of dharma, artha, kama, and shreyas, moksha, the apparent and actually the real goal. We can choose any one of these two as the primary goal of our life. Now, I want to explain that what he is talking about here is not videha mukti. It's called jivan mukti, that you are free. There is you're comfortable in your own skin, nothing bothers you, you don't get affected by things. It's okay if things happen. If they don't happen, that's also fine. That is the moksha they're talking about here. Am I explaining this okay, Prachi?
Yes, absolutely. Just that a lot of people are here for the first time and they would like a little more clarity. Of course, we've read it, but
Hmm.
like, you know, your
Yeah.
perspective.
I'll tell you what.
Yes.
What they say is actually, whenever we are looking for something, it could be a car you want to buy, the latest, whatever. I don't even know what cars are, which cars. And then the best handbags, it could be a Louis Vuitton, whatever it is. Why are you buying it? Have you really analyzed and thought, or a fancy new designer outfit? The reason you're buying it is because you want to feel good and you want everybody to say, oh my God, you know, what a lovely outfit she's wearing, or what a nice handbag, what nice shoes. But actually what you're trying to do is get over, there is an inherent sense of limitedness and a feeling of inadequacy within you. Okay.
Mhm.
So you want to feel more than you are. You want people to acknowledge and validate you. So you're looking for validation outside, and believe me, all this artha kama is all that. It's all for that validation only. You know, she has a beautiful house, how well she's kept her house, and you know, she matches her clothes so well. Whatever it is, it's all, it stems out of a sense of inadequacy. We all seem to be born out of ignorance with this sense of limitedness, sense of insecurity. So that is what we have to understand and deal with in a very mature way. And what Shastra will ultimately get to tell you is that actually you are a complete whole being. Don't consider yourself inadequate. Every human pursuit can be put down to one thing: overcoming a feeling of limitedness, overcoming a feeling of inadequacy, which is within themselves. You know, we talk about people who are comfortable in their own skin. Those are the people that we are very impressed by, because, you know, they don't really want to impress anybody. They don't want to do anything. They're okay the way they are. I remember a time when I had gone somewhere and there was a particular plantation and there was some ditch that had got waterlogged or something. And all these people, the workers in their lungis and all, were busy working. And there was this one man who seemed like he was supervising them. He was also wearing a lungi and a old faded ratty t-shirt and helping, getting down and dirty, digging with his own hands and helping them to sort it all out. And I later on found out that he was an owner of that 1,000-acre plantation.
No.
But he was so comfortable in his own skin, it did not matter. There were 8-10 of us coming there for a meal. But because this happened, he was happy doing that. He did not feel the need that he had to impress us to be well dressed. Something had to be done, he did it. That attitude is what it is.
Yes.
So what we have done today is only just covered the very basic. As we go on, it'll explain to you what the Shastra is in the next chapter, which is very interesting, what the primary literature is, what the secondary literature is. Today's just been a bit of a small introduction.
Right. So I think today, let me summarize that today we've done this chapter 1 on Purushartha. Purushartha means the end of goal is possible. So if we have goals, the end of it is very much possible. Now, when we come in this life, there are 4 types of goals. The first is Artha, wealth, everything to do with financial
security.
Yes, security. You just make us whole and complete. That's what we feel, that, you know, okay, this is making us whole and complete, but actually it's not. Second is karma, any kind of entertainment. So whether it's just going out for a holiday or any programs or some kind of entertainment. Third is the most important, which is punyam. It's an invisible favorable factor. So this is most important because, of course, we Indians believe in reincarnation. जो हमने इस life में किया है, they'll carry on. So this punyam is something we are all working towards, and this is what is taking us. And we are also bothered about our next life. So we are doing punya more and more. कि अगली life अच्छी human life मिल जाए, and we are all taken care of. So this is what we've done today. We've also talked about our limitations. So every human being has 3 limitations. And now the first 3 goals, limitations of pain. What kind of
Pain
pain?
of acquisition, pain of preservation, pain of loss. simply put that way, you know.
Right. Okay. Very beautiful. And then we have something called dissatisfaction. कभी भी पूर्ति नहीं होती.
Yes.
इसके बाद ये, इसके बाद ये, इसके बाद ये खत्म हुआ, वो शुरू हो गया. Third, which is our limitation, is dependence. Dependent on people, dependent on different factors, maybe enjoyment, maybe external objects. And
no, we can't do without it, Prachi. The thing is, like, you know, as Swamiji always says, if you have an AC, nobody's saying, please suffer in the heat, put on the AC.
Yes.
The dependence comes that if the power goes, don't sit and crib about it.
Right.
That is, use it. Nobody says don't use what is available in life, but don't get so dependent on it that in its absence you suffer. That is what they're talking about, dependence.
Nice.
Any.
Very good. And the fourth we spoke about is the final, which is moksha, inner freedom. So when you're free of, is it that we are free of our karmas? Is it that we are free of?
No, Prachi, that is different. We will come to that later. Here, what we are talking about are the 4 human goals, but the 3 human goals all actually culminate in the 4th, because what you want is that freedom from a sense of lacking, freedom from a self of limitation.
Right.
So this pursuit of dharma, artha, kama is all because you are trying to get that freedom. So if you really analyze each of them, what you want to achieve from each of those, you will find is only this sense of inner contentment, that's satisfied with yourself. So this is when they're referring to inner freedom, moksha here, they're not talking about videha mukti that we know of. That will come later. This is just at a basic level.
Perfect. So basically the pursuit of dharma, artha, kama is like ongoing. It's like always ongoing, right? And the freedom from these could probably bring us into.
That will never end, because no matter what you have, you want something else.
Right.
And when you get it, you're very happy for a little while. That same handbag you guarding when you first bought it for a few lakhs, that you're dumping it on the carpet next to the sofa when you sit down. You know, you slowly lose that value also for it. So that is the problem with all these worldly things.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, you have to come to a point where it doesn't matter what you're carrying, what you're wearing, where you are. Just have that inner freedom.
So the last line is very beautiful. It says, the pursuit of dharma, artha, kama is a permanent struggle.
Yes.
In moksha, all the struggles end because I discover security and joy in myself. The 4 purusharthas can be thus reduced to 2 basic goals, that is prayas, consisting of dharma, artha, kama, and shreyas, that's moksha, the apparent and the real goals. We can choose any one of these 2 as a primary goal of our life. So that's really lovely. So thank you. The effort was to read together and understand it bit by bit. I know for a lot of us, it's probably too much to absorb. That's why I'm going to share the PDF. So if all of you wish to join a particular WhatsApp group, we can form it where we can send the PDFs of the book and the session timing so that, we all clear. If that's what you want, you can let me know, like either on voice message, you can unmute yourself, or you can, I'll give you the book, Ritu. We have the book.
No, anybody has any doubt or question they'd like to ask, we can both answer.
Yeah, that will be important.
The session was little heavy, I guess. Little bit went over my head. So maybe
you read the PDF, and what questions or doubts you have, you could make a note of them and we could discuss it next time.
Yeah, sure. That's what I wanted, the book and this, so I can read it and try to understand.
So what we'll do, Ritu, is I'll send you the link of the group that Dimples and I am on. So thereafter you can all join. We can share the book there, the links there. And even if you have questions, maybe you can even put there. So it'll be nicer to talk about them on the next thing. But at once in a while, Dimples is very enlightened, and she's very.
I'm not enlightened. I'm a seeker.
I also am always a seeker. So, but you can always answer us even offline, and of course on the session call also. So and we'll try to go a little slower in our reading also, so that you're able to absorb a bit faster. So Dimples, what I was thinking is we can all come together next Thursday and start the new chapter. Before that, we can have 10 minutes of reflection of this first week, and any questions which are there, we can have them answered.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so
We'll
much.
have the book or we'll get the PDF or we'll do the print. I will take the print. Muskan, ek minute. Should I take the print of the PDF or you will send the book?
No, please take a printout of the thing. The book is available. You can buy the book. I don't know where Dimples bought it from.
You know, I got it through a
It's
friend.
always
I'm
available.
not going out nowadays, Prachi. So that's
Yeah.
why I asked a friend to pick up these books, which I sent to 4
So
5.
best is to take a PDF in
Yes,
time too. It's very
Yeah.
comfortable. I got it scanned, like, because we had to showcase the book here. So
Okay.
Dimples, of course, presented with me my copy, but I got it scanned. It's a very simple book. Hardly, it's very thin book. So take a printout. The way we've taken a printout of Unified, you can do that for this also. So thank you everyone for joining in this first session of our light, where where Dimples threw some light about the introduction of Vedanta. It's just the beginning, and a lot more will unfold for us. And of course, questions are more than welcome, because as seekers, if you don't have questions, the learning can't be very intense. So keep questioning yourself and what's written there, so that all of us can keep learning and growing into little more knowledgeable beings. So thank you.
Thank you, Prachi. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. God bless you all. Let's see each other next Thursday.
Yeah.
Lots of love.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dimple. Thank you, Prachi. Thank you so much.